Hello guys, I'm Kiri, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna talk about a 1967 model Lotus Elan Plus 2. This car was based on the original 1962 Lotus Elan, which was the first Lotus road car to use very famous steel backbone chassis with fiberglass body. The Elan Plus 2 was the same conception, but the chassis was extended because the car needed a long wheelbase to accommodate the rear seats, suitable only for children. Was the luxury Lotus car the GT car for long distances, and compared with the two-seater Elan, this was a really large car, with very nicely made interior, very comfortable seats, and because by the Lotus advertised back on the day, this car must be capable of transporting 2 adults and 2 children 1000 miles in comfort with their luggage. And really was capable of doing this, because nowadays many former owners of this car reporting that they did many trips from UK to the French Riviera in just one day, which is approximately 800 miles. Was a very successful car, and being in production from 1967 to 1975, Lotus built approximately 3,300 cars. Now this number is probably not exactly correct, but for some sources the number is 5,200, but 3,300 seems more realistic. But just over 1,200 are on the roads today. The car has very classic configuration: front longitudinally mounted engine, manual gearbox, drive shaft and rear wheel drive. How you can see, is a 2-door coupe, and we said early 2+2 seats. The engine is Ford-based Lotus twin cam 1558cc, so 1.6 liter, the same engine we can find in the two-seater Elan. The transmission, they are 4-speed or 5-speed manual gearbox. From the 1600 engine, the power output was between 108 and 126 horsepower, depending on the model. And because the car was very light, between 870 and 900 kilograms, okay, let's say under 900 kilograms, the performance was amazing for the time. Maximum speed 120 miles per hour or 193 kilometers per hour. Acceleration from 0 to 60 miles per hour or 96 kilometers per hour, 7.9 seconds. But not only the performance was good, the handling as well. We know this already. Lotus has the best weight distribution, the best suspension, the best weight, so this is the reason for the good handling. The designer of this car, Elan Plus 2, and the two-seater Elan, is Ron Hickman. He was working for Lotus at the time, but with the impossible to change advices from the founder of the company, Colin Chapman. It's important to mention the name Colin Chapman, the pioneer of the lightweight constructions, the best suspension settings and design, innovator of the new technology, etc. etc. We know on that time, when Elan Plus 2 arrived, Lotus was one of the best racing teams in the world. The company entered Formula 1 in 1958, and just 2 years later, in 1960, Stirling Moss won the first Formula 1 Grand Prix in Monaco. And in 1963, Lotus Formula 1 team won the first Formula 1 World Constructors Championship. We said the original two-seater Lotus Elan was presented in 1962, so this was the golden era of the Lotus company, and all this experience from Formula 1 was transferred into the road-going cars. Because the company became world-famous name, the people just wanted to buy a Lotus. But this success wasn't just for a few years. Lotus Formula 1 team was in the top places for many years, almost 2 decades. They won the Drivers' Championship in 1963 and 1965 with Jim Clark. In 1968 with Graham Hill, in 1970 Johan Rindt, 1972 Emerson Fittipaldi, and in 1978 with Mario Andretti. So let's say again, all this experience during these years was transferred into the road cars. One of the best British car in that time, and obviously one of the best in the world, Jaguar E-Type, wasn't faster than Lotus Elan. despite the E-Type has a 6-cylinder inline 3.8 or even 4.2 liters, so over 200 horsepower, 245 horsepower. But the Lotus was faster car on the track or even on the more twisty roads. I read many very interesting articles about the same people being owning E-Type and then owning Lotus Elan. Everyone said the Lotus is from different world, from different league. Never can compare the road experience between the two of them, between the Lotus Elan and Jaguar E-Type. The Elan or Elan Plus 2 was very nimble, very stable, very fast in the corners. The feeling is that to take the corners with any speed. We mentioned earlier the weight was one of the key factors. In Elan Plus 2 is less than 900 kilograms, but as well the suspension for 1960s to have a car with 4 independent suspension was massive step ahead. The design was very simple, like everything Colin Chapman did, but very effective. The front suspension is double wishbones with coilovers and shock absorbers. Each wishbone has 2 separate arms. The same conception actually, by the way, is going to be in use to 1990s. I own a 1988 Lotus XL SE and the front suspension is still the same. The rear suspension is designed totally from Colin Chapman and is unique. This is coming from Formula 1. Very simple with just 3 chassis connections. All 4 corner suspension attached to the chassis and with 4 disc brakes, of course, make already a racing car. Very light 1600 Ford engine and gearbox fixed onto the front, but actually behind the front axle, so more front mid-mounting engine. And on the end very lightweight body. This combination is already winning. So now you can go on the road and beat any big V8 or V12 even, Ferrari or Lamborghini. We're not going to mention the very heavy Aston Martin or Bentley. So this was the idea to make 4-seater car. Okay, the back seats are only for children. And then to do 1000 miles trip to the French Riviera. And somewhere in France maybe, in some mountain road, to show to some Ferrari owner what the car is capable. The Elan Plus 2 has an exceptional handling, road holding, steering, acceleration, braking and very cool, nice comfort. You can feel that the car is made in 1960s. Everything what wasn't necessary is just removed from the car. Just the thing what you need. In Elan Plus 2 maybe just a bit comfort, more leather inside than in the 2-seater, but not too much. The sister of the Elan Plus 2, the Elan, was a racing car as well, and of course winning car. The car was very popular everywhere in the world, including USA. Wasn't very expensive as well. For 1969, Elan Plus 2, the price was 2,200 British pounds, roughly the same or just a bit less than Jaguar E-Type, but was 20% more expensive than the 2-seater Elan. And today, this is really British sports car, absolutely truly British sports car, but on the same time luxury with this amazing wooden dashboard and many buttons and clock on it. Very beautifully made interior, the sound is amazing as well. Of course it's coming from the 4-cylinder inline 1558cc twin-cam engine, or maybe it's coming from the induction noise, because the engine is fitted with 2 Delorto 40 carburetors. We set 126 horsepower at 5,500 RPM. Today the car is not very expensive. You can find some examples for 15,000 British pounds, or maybe some better examples actually for 25,000 plus. On the end, this is a practical classic car with space for 4 and luggage in the boot. And for the time, Lotus Elan was very reliable car, and the owners actually they keeping it for a long time. So it's absolutely beautifully made car. The design is just amazing. The car was extended because actually the chassis was extended to accommodate the rear seats. The original Elan Plus 2 is short wheelbase, this is long wheelbase because of the rear seats. But not only that, the front side is extended as well, and the boot of course is extended, so the car is much longer in size than the original Lotus Elan, the 2 seats Lotus Elan. As well, the cabin inside is larger, so the car is absolutely beautifully made, and was very successful car. We said they built over 3,300 of this beautiful car, and was better actually than many British cars, and also better than many European cars. Doesn't need to have big V8 or V12 engine. The car needs to have very light 4-cylinder engine, but high performance, and the chassis needs to be absolutely perfect. Racing type chassis, the suspension racing type, the body needs to be very light, so overall the weight needs to be very light, and you're gonna have winning car. So this was the conception of Colin Chapman, and he did of course with this Lotus Elan and with the Lotus Elan Plus 2. So it's very important because many people, they had families, so 2 childrens, and you have to take children as well on the back seat. But this car was really very popular back in the 1960s. Was absolutely amazing car. We said it was in production from 1968 to 1975. The price in 1969, 2,200 British pounds. Wasn't very cheap, but wasn't expensive as well. Absolutely beautiful car, and in this red color really suits very nice to this color. You see the car from every angle. The car is just very smooth, very beautifully made. The design is, I'm gonna say again, just amazing. Nothing in addition to this car. There is no spoilers, 1960s, 1970s. The design is very simple, but very effective. Of course, the aerodynamic was important on that time. Everything is important: the chassis, the suspension, the body, aerodynamic, and then you have sports car. So guys, I hope you like the video about this Lotus Elan Plus 2. If you like the video, please subscribe my channel, and see you next time guys. Bye!